People go, buy and hold.
The market can drop at any moment. You are in for a very stressful time.
That's not an investment philosophy.
That's unacceptable.
It's not good for business.
Most people don't have an intention behind their money.
A more stress-free way to live your life in retirement. Whenever we have a conversation with a prospective client, we always ask them, what is your investment philosophy? And then we generally get this weird blank stare and people go, buy and hold, hold for the long term, mutual funds. That's not an investment philosophy. That's just products that you own. Max, why don't you explain to our audience our unique investment philosophy when it comes to, their money?
Yeah, so our investment philosophy, just going back to the main point, is that it's designed to absorb the stress and worry. Because most people, like you said, they don't really have an investment philosophy. They have a bunch of mutual funds, they have a bunch of stocks, and it's just like, I'm going to hold these forever, or I'm going to change them as much as possible. And I'm going to try to get a lot of growth so that in retirement, I can pull from that money to pay myself in retirement. That's what we like to call a one bucket approach. If your sole plan for retirement is to use the investments that are in the market to pay yourself for the rest of your life, you are in for a very stressful time because the market can drop at any moment. And if you're still taking money out of it as it's going down, you can greatly decrease your portfolio and create a big problem. And the one thing that we never will say to our clients or never want to have to say is, you have to go back to work or you have to live off of less. Like that's unacceptable at the advisory group.
It's not good for business.
It's not good. And our clients don't deserve that. So,
okay, let's go ahead and explain our philosophy.
Yeah. So our philosophy is what we call the 3-bucket philosophy. The 3-bucket philosophy is creating intention behind your money because most people don't have an intention behind their money. They just have money that's designed to grow. And then maybe one day you can pay yourself with it. So for us in the 3 buckets, so the first bucket is this blue bucket that we call the protection bucket. The protection bucket you can think of as almost like an emergency fund as you're in retirement. So your protected bucket should be liquid, easily accessible. It should be ready to go at a moment's notice. And what this bucket should be designed for is the unexpected, expected events that are going to occur in your life. Think of, here in Colorado, we have tons of different weather, but we get windstorms, we get hailstorms, we get snowstorms, and it can damage property, and you're going to need to fix that in a moment's notice. So that's why you want to have cash on hand. So the protection bucket is cash on hand, checking and savings accounts, CDs, money market funds. It's liquid. It should be when you're in retirement, you should have between 6 to 12 months of expenses here in this bucket, so that you always know that you're covered in an unfortunate event that may arise.
Right, yes, because the last thing you want to do is if you need $20,000, have to call your advisor, sell stocks, pay taxes, market's down. Say if you just wanted to buy a new car and it was $50,000 and you bought it, let's go back to 2022, the market was down over 20% and all of your money's sitting there in an IRA. You got to pay the tax, the market's down, you take out $50,000. You have to take out more than $50,000. You got to factor in the tax. That's why it's not prudent or sound to have all of your money in the market for everyday expenses and income because you don't know when you need the money. And number 2, you don't know what the market's going to do. And then number 3, you got to deal with taxes, or if you're under 59 and a half, you have the early withdrawal penalty if it's a retirement account. So this 3-bucket approach allows our clients to, when those unexpected, like Max says, expected events come up, they can grab the money cash. They don't have to worry about paying taxes. Their account value is the same. And it's just a more stress-free way to live your life in retirement.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about that second bucket, which we say is without doubt the most important bucket as you're approaching and in retirement.
Yeah. This is the green bucket, and this is what we call your income bucket. So this is taking investments that you have and creating the intention of income for them down the road while you're in retirement. And what can go in this bucket, the couple key things that you need to keep in mind is that this bucket should be predictable. Because, when you think about it, every day you show up to work, you're getting a consistent monthly payment, could be bi-weekly, whatever it is, weekly, you're getting that consistent paycheck. But if you don't have an income plan for retirement, you're not going to have that same consistent monthly income because it's going to be dictated on whatever the market's going to do. So when it comes to creating an income plan, it needs to be predictable. It needs to last your lifetime and your spouse's lifetime.
So basically, you don't want to run out.
You don't want to run out. You want to make sure that it is going to be there for you no matter how long you live. You live to 75 or you live to 175, you want to make sure that that money is going to be there forever.
Yikes, 175.
Hey, who knows?
You'd be a wizard.
Medical advancements.
If we could do that for our clients, we'd be the busiest firm in the world.
Absolutely. And then it also should not be tied to the market.
Yeah, can you explain that, Max, in detail? What do you mean not tied to the market?
So investments that are tied to the market is everything that's invested that's going to go up and down. And so if your income is tied to the stock market, perfect example, 2022, the market dropped, I believe, around anywhere from 20 to 25%. Think about you having to withdraw your money when the market's going down 25%. You're creating unnecessary stress on your money because you're pulling more money out as it's going down. You're creating larger losses that are going to take so much longer to recoup. And if you're in retirement and you don't have time to save, on average, it takes 5 to 7 years after a true correction in the market to make your money back. And in retirement, how many people really have 5 to 7 years to wait for their money to recoup when they need it to pay themselves?
Or even if you had the wealth, why would you want to go through that?
Why would you want to go through
not tied to the market? And then what kind of sources or what type of things go into that bucket?
Yeah, so sources that off the top of my head, Social Security is one. And I know there's a lot of talk about maybe Social Security won't be there, but in reality, it's here now, and that's what we focus on.
Okay.
Social Security is one. It's going to be a consistent monthly payment for the rest of your life. If you're fortunate to have a pension, that's the same thing. It's not tied to the market. It's going to pay you out monthly for the rest of your life. Potential things that you can use, like investments, are annuities. Annuities can be a great source of income in retirement. Annuities, there's a lot of stuff about them. If you're curious about it, you can reach out to us and we'll have a discussion about it. But annuities can be a great, consistent monthly stream of income. Rental income, if you like to manage real estate, rental income can be a great tool to pay yourself in retirement because it typically is not tied to the market. It usually works inversely with the market. So, real estate typically performs really well. And then bonds in the appropriate interest rate environment. So we're entering into potentially a reduction in rates and stuff.
They're just reduced rates. Absolutely. Yeah. So owning bonds today. See, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you want a proactive advisor, because if you look back in 2022, we had 4 rate hikes. The typical 60-40 portfolio did not perform well. In fact, this is the first time in a long time we've seen bonds have a negative return. Now, hopefully your advisor is paying attention. A reallocation into bonds is something that we see as an advantage for our client, because in a decreasing interest rate environment, bonds pay out a steady income.
Yep.
Okay. So the idea is, ladies and gentlemen, the second bucket is to get about 100% of your needs and wants in retirement. That way it's coming to you every single month without volatility and stress. And that's how you remove the stress. So let's talk about the third bucket.
Yep. So the third bucket is your growth bucket. So this bucket should be designed for long-term growth. This shouldn't be money that you need to access in the next couple of years. I mean, 5, 6, 7 years from now, that's when you want to kind of tap into this, because it is tied to the market. It is going to go up and down. And so what you want is you want to have money that's going to be there growing for the long term for those future healthcare costs, which are going to be very expensive, for rising taxes and inflation. You want this money growing at all points in time. And so some things that you can put in this bucket are stocks. Individual stocks, they're going to provide you a lot of great growth. ETFs, which stands for exchange traded funds, which is really just a fund that tracks something specific, let's say the technology industry, and it's got a bunch of technology stocks within
or the S&P 500.
Or the S&P 500.
Another thing too, ladies and gentlemen, we could also use dividends in the income bucket as well. That's another source of dependable income. So you're saying individual stocks, ETFs. Now, the reason that we want money in the growth bucket, because you mentioned things like healthcare, taxes, and inflation are going to continue to go up, especially in this country. Anything else go in that bucket?
Yeah, there's a laundry list of things that can go in this bucket, but things that come to mind, real estate investment trusts, or REITs, if you've ever heard of them. As long as they're done appropriate and they actually fit your needs, they can be a great investment. Gives you some exposure to the real estate market without actually having to go and manage a property, purchase a property. Alternative investments can be great. And so if, alternatives give you a little bit different view of the market compared to like stocks and ETFs and the REITs.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody knows what the future holds, right? And we've been Since the bottom of 08, 09, you know, we've had COVID. That bounced back. We had the 2022 correction, but since then the market's up higher. You just have to be careful. And what Max is saying is having a well-written income plan can help you absorb the stress and worry as you're approaching retirement so that you can live your best life.
Thanks for watching. Don't stop here. Keep investing in yourself. Watch another video. In fact, leave us comments. We're all about maximizing the one thing that money can't buy, which is your time.